John. You spoke with Christian kind of about those players who are lifting trophies in the past couple of weeks, and how important that experience was for them. But there's also some at the other end of the table. Victor Laturi, Kyle Larin, Dom Zator, who are playing incredibly important matches as well. Some of them went well for them, some of them obviously not quite. But your thoughts on the experiences that those guys have, and playing in similarly pressure-packed matches heading into this competition.
Yeah, I think these players have moved into levels where there's always pressure. There's pressure to keep your shirt. There's pressure to keep the fans happy, the media happy. I mean, they live in a world of pressure. I think those that are in environments now, speaking to Sam Adekugbe, his Galatasaray experience, there's just everything is done to win. There's an expectation to win at that club, to win everything. And with that, the mentality of the players, the mentality in training, the candour that's required. Ali Johnson talked about this as well in a recent conversation. Those moments where clubs are set up to win and there's an expectation to win is different to clubs that are set up to survive and an expectation to survive. And I think we've seen this. I think a lot of our Canadian players. I remember my first sort of camps, we had a lot of players in that survival mode, and it's not a healthy place. I don't think it's a great place, to be in for too long for a player. And I really do hope, the likes of Dom and Victor, are able to springboard their career. But you need a diverse experience as a footballer. You need a diverse experience as a coach in life. That diversity is really important. You've got to feel what it is to survive. And you've got to feel what it is to win. And some of the feelings are similar, but I think Canada are doing their best to recruit players who are expected to win, because it changes the culture completely. The language changes, the mentality changes, but more importantly, people know what to expect and what they no longer will accept. And I think that's I've seen that from the first day I walked. I had Alfonso return back in after winning the treble. I mean, that was, I had a wonderful conversation just talking about his preparation for that Champions League final, and, how players like Muller and etc. and the coach managed the dressing room. Those experiences were, for me, very impactful, not only to understand how he's experienced the world, but for him then to start sharing that with players that haven't had those experiences and hopefully are looking to gain them.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I think we might have lost Jeremy. Jeremy, you there? Not seeing Jeremy.
Yeah.
Would you like to go ahead? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Apologies.
Sorry, I just came back. I don't know what happened. It seemed like I got cut off for an instant there. Hey, John, thanks for taking the time. We got a couple of kids here in Montreal that have done pretty well this year, and keeper Sirouan and midfielder Chouanier. I'd like to get your thoughts on what information you were able to gather from what they've been doing here, maybe why ultimately they don't make the cut, and is there a desire to maybe to bring those types of players in, maybe to get a look and see for the Gold Cup? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Montreal had a wonderful season last season, I think, with the likes of Kamal, Ali, Sam Piet, Joel Waterman, James Pantemis, all sort of picking those moments and performing well for the team and ultimately getting selected for Canada. And I think, looking at those players that we're assessing at Montreal, there are some good players there, good young players. Chouanier's having more consistency this season than I've seen in the past. But again, there's an element of winning. I think that's important. We're picking up players coming into a Nations League final, and I think a final is a final. It's being able to pull together a squad, profiles of players that are operating with experience of winning at the highest level, but also players that have contributed already. I know exactly what I'm going to get in these moments, and I think that's important when you've got a 2-match sort of window with 4 days of prep going into it. So I think, you know, there's a time to test and there's a time to help players gain experience. And, you know, I think when you're going into pinnacle events like the Gold Cup and Nations League, you know, they're not the time to, you know, test players in those moments unless, you know, they're scoring in La Liga or, you know, playing in the Premier League week in, week out. I think there's moments for, you know, players that are still pushing to establish themselves as a top tier player in MLS or in Belgium or other leagues they might be operating in. And I think with Canada, you know, we've not had these friendly window opportunities. They're coming in September and October. I mean, this is our reality now. You know, for 3 years we've always been in, you know, high pressure competition moments where you're working towards qualifying for a World Cup or qualifying for a Nations League or qualifying for a Gold Cup. And then you get to the Gold Cup and I'd say 99% of fans are wanting to win a Gold Cup or win a Nations League because you've earned the right to be there. And, you know, countries like the US, I think have utilised, you know, their friendly windows well. They've created windows to develop, you know, those, you know, wider squad, extended squad players to assess them at the international level. So, you know, September, October gives us those windows, those opportunities to play friendly matches for the first time in 3 years. So, you know, hopefully those players that are on the extended squad will gain opportunity.